The GMC Yukon is certainly in a class that's part of the minority in the automotive market. However, this isn't stopping General Motors from building these cash cows. Introduced a few years ago, the GMC Yukon continues to be an old-school body-on-frame SUV, but with a huge sea of crossovers to choose from, is there any reason you should choose this truck-based SUV? Well, let's go ahead and find out and take a closer look at this 2017 GMC Yukon Denali. Now, this is the fourth generation of GMC's big brawny Yukon, and it's been in this generation since the 2015 model year. Now, the Yukon has always stuck to its roots of being a true truck-based SUV. It also shares the same platform with the cheaper Chevrolet Tahoe and the more expensive Cadillac Escalade. Now, for 2017, there are a few notable changes for the Yukon, most notably on the technology front. You have a new low-speed automatic braking system that's paired with the forward collision warning system. And then you also do have a new teen driver management system. Cooled seats have also been replaced with ventilated seats, and heads-up display is now standard on the Denali trim. Now, our trim of the Yukon we have here is the Denali trim, and it comes with these big old 22-inch wheels here, and then on top of that you also do get a chromed out front grille, and it comes with all the luxury goodies. You have a full-on leather interior as well as a navigation system, all that good stuff. Now, here goes the key fob design for the vehicle. You have a smart key, of course, decent looking key fob. You have your lock, unlock, your remote engine start, and then your power tailgate as well as your panic alarm. Now, this color of the Yukon is known as the mineral metallic, and it does have smart key access on all four doors of the vehicle, which is a nice little feature there. You will find a full-on black perforated leather interior. I love how the Denali logo is embroidered into the headrest here. And you have white contrast stitching. Power driver seat with power recline and power lumbar. Pretty typical there. Now, I really do love the power deploying running boards that you get on the Yukon. Certainly helps out quite a lot when getting in and out of the Yukon, since it has a fairly high step-in height. Now, stepping on inside of the Yukon's interior, it's beautifully designed, very lavish. You have this nice stitching on the dashboard and a nice wood grain interior trim. It just oozes quality inside of here. And like I said, this is the top of the line Denali trim, so it comes with all the luxuries and goodies. Now, you do have push button ignition. Just put your foot on the brake and hit the button to start. And what you're hearing there is a 6.2 liter V8. You have a full leather wrap steering wheel. Coming to your transmission, you have a column mounted shifter with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And you have lower gear selection as well as the tow and haul mode. When you put the vehicle into reverse, this does display your rear view camera with guidance lines and trajectory. And we're gonna go ahead and turn on the headlights as well as the fog lights and the hazards. Let's go ahead and check out the exterior of the Yukon. All windows are fully automatic. Heated exterior mirrors, and you also do have blind spot detection. Now, the Yukon remains one of the most profitable vehicles for General Motors. And the Yukon has always stuck to its roots of being a true truck-based SUV, while many other SUVs have turned to car-based platforms. You have LED daytime running lights with high-intensity discharge headlights, as well as LED turn signal indicators, halogen fogs, as well as front parking sensors. Alright, now powering the Yukon here, this is the upgraded V8 engine. It's essentially a 6.2 liter V8 that produces 420 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 460 pound-feet of torque at 4,100 RPM, with EPA estimates being an okay 15 in the city and 20 on the highway. Now, That's pretty good considering how much power this vehicle has, and it's pretty good for its class of full-size body-on-frame SUVs. Now, if you want, you can go for a less powerful 5.3 liter V8, which is the standard engine. But if you're looking for better towing capabilities, then you'll certainly want to step up to this 6.2 liter here. Now, trims of the Yukon start at the base SLE trim. Now, the SLE trim is the only trim level that can have the maximum amount of passenger capacity with the full bench seating for the front row occupants. And this trim starts at $48,530. The mid trim level, which is the SLT trim, which is also the most popular trim level, starts at $57,315. And then the top of the line Denali, like how we have here, you're looking at $65,965. Now, the Yukon competes with vehicles in the full-size luxury SUV class as well as the full-size SUV class, depending on what trim you get. If you go for the top of the line Denali, then you're looking at vehicles in the full-size luxury SUV class, which includes the likes of the Infiniti QX56, the Toyota Land Cruiser, and the Lexus LX. You may even want to compare it to the Land Rover Range Rover. However, the Range Rover is considerably way more expensive than the Yukon here. Now, if you go for the SLE and the SLT trim levels, you can compare it to vehicles like the Toyota Sequoia, the Ford Expedition, and the Nissan Armada. All right, now driving the 2017 GMC Yukon here. Now, it's no surprise here that the Yukon handles and rides more like a truck rather than a car. You know, crossovers are based off of car-based platforms, so, you know, they ride and handle more like a car rather than a truck. But the Yukon, since it's based off of a truck, it handles and rides like a truck, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, some people are looking for that. They want those, you know, traditional like four-wheel drive capabilities with high ground clearance and all of that. Now, what I do like about the Yukon is that it does feel very big. You know, this vehicle is quite a big vehicle to drive. So, you know, you just feel like you are very confident on the road and you feel like you're towering over everyone. And I just love that feeling, you know. And a lot of crossovers don't have that feeling. It still has more of a feel like of a car rather than a truck. But the Yukon does deliver that truck-like feel of feeling like you're above everyone. So I really do like that. But that can be a bad thing for some people. If you live in the city or anything like that, it can be pretty hard to get into tight parking spaces, and some people don't want a huge vehicle to drive. Now, as far as the fuel efficiency goes, the fuel efficiency is good for the full-size SUV class. When you compare it to crossovers, however, it's a different story. Crossovers are considerably more fuel efficient than the Yukon here, depending on which crossover you get. Now, the 6.2 liter V8 provides lots of power here, and the 8-speed automatic transmission never hesitates to shift, really. It's a pretty refined transmission, and it doesn't jerk a whole lot, which is nice. But if you need that extra towing capability and that extra power, you'll want to step up to this 6.2 liter V8 here. I just love how it rumbles and grumbles. It doesn't have none of that turbocharger stuff like how the Ford Expedition has. But this is a, you know, very traditional, you know, brawny V8 engine here, which I love. But if you don't need the extra power and the extra towing capability, you'll be satisfied with the standard 5.3 liter V8, which is a pretty popular powertrain for not only the Yukon, but all of General Motors. They love to use it in their trucks and their SUVs. Now, as far as the way the Yukon handles, it's pretty loose, pretty vague, and pretty numb when it comes to its steering. I mean, it handles like a truck. It's not going to wow you when it comes to its handling characteristics, but, you know, some people don't really care for that. This is a vehicle that's all about utility and comfort here. Now, you know, if you want better handling characteristics, I suggest going with the Ford Expedition if you need a full-size SUV. But if you don't need a full-size SUV, then just get a crossover. I mean, they're going to have, you know, better handling characteristics if you're looking for a little bit more driver engagement and you don't want that really loose, like, numb feeling that the Yukon has here. All right, so overall, if you can get past the truck-like characteristics of the Yukon, you will certainly not have a problem with driving the Yukon here. The powertrain is just excellent. Love the 6.2 liter V8, and you'll be satisfied with any powertrain you get for the Yukon, whether it's the 5.3 liter V8 or the 6.2 liter V8 we have here. But the Yukon will certainly not disappoint if you can get past its truck-like characteristics here. Now, the Yukon features one of the best interiors in the whole General Motors Corporation, and the materials are excellent inside of here. There's plenty of soft touch materials to go around, especially on the door panels here and on the dashboards, all soft touch, what you would expect out of a near luxury SUV. There's plenty of stitching as well, just oozes quality inside of here. You can feel for that this is a very well built vehicle. Now, the Yukon, this build quality is pretty good. There's no panel gaps really. This is a whole lot different from what the Yukon used to be in the early 2000s as well as the 90s too. It's a really nice interior. Now, coming to the steering wheel design, love the steering wheel here. On the left, we do have your cruise control as well as your heated steering wheel for collision alert. And then you also do have your controls for the TFT instrument cluster, which I would get to in just a minute. And then up here, you have your auto dimming rear view mirror with OnStar. Sunglass container with a conversation mirror. And your sunroof with your sunroof controls. And you have your garage home link, LED map lights, and you have a little storage cubby. You can maybe use this as a cell phone holder, and then you'll find your 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB charging ports, and dual cup holders right here. And then you have a wireless charging pad for your phone. And opening up this center console lid, there's plenty of center console storage. You can maybe store a purse or a laptop inside of here. I mean, it's really that big. You have 2 more USB charging ports and auxiliary input and another 12-volt power outlet. Really won't go wrong with charging anything in this vehicle. And you have your glove box compartment. The seats in the Yukon are fairly comfortable. They're pretty supportive for the most part, and thigh support is pretty good too. You'll find plenty of glass area all around when it comes to visibility, especially rearward visibility. There's plenty of glass area, and A-pillars are also fairly thin too, and it's nice that a rear view camera does come standard on every trim level of the Yukon. Now down here you'll also find your heated and ventilated front seats. And then we also do have your climate controls, dual zone automatic climate control, of course, and you have your different zones as well as your temperatures on the dials right here, as well as your front window defroster and rear window defroster. Now, one thing that's changed about the Yukon's interior is that you now have this ice blue ambient lighting, and this is actually what you'll find on Chevrolets, and it used to be red, and as you can see, you have more of that ice blue around the gauge cluster too. But I'm not really sure why they got rid of the ice blue. Maybe they just didn't like it anymore. But anyways, coming to the head unit and the main infotainment system, this is the GMC Untitled system. We've seen this many times here before, and it's an excellent head unit. It's simple, easy to use, and very intuitive. Now, coming to your different audio sources, does include all of the norm here: AM, FM, XM satellite radio, Bluetooth streaming audio, as well as your auxiliary input. And you also do have a direct tune feature. The touchscreen is very responsive. Coming to your phone, you can hook up your Bluetooth phone, have all of your contacts stored on here, view your voicemail, and have an integrated dial pad. And then we also do have your projection feature, which is for your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto capability, and your navigation system. Navigation system, the graphics and the rendering are pretty good. Features live traffic, points of interest. You can enter in your destination by voice if you would like. What's pretty cool about this head unit is that you can flip it up like this. Really cool there. And it reveals a little storage compartment right here that also features a USB charging port down there, as you can see. Pretty cool. Alright, and then you also do have your settings, which there's many different settings that you could change here, from the time and the date, the language, your team driver mode, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and your sound system settings. And then right here you also do have your live weather, shows you a 5-day forecast. You could change the location. And then you have your video, which is for your rear DVD entertainment system, which I'll get to in just a minute. And then you have your SMS text messaging function. Of course, you have to have a phone connected for that. And then your OnStar, live traffic, and your shop, which is for your apps. Overall, love the GMC IntelliLink system. Very intuitive, simple, and responsive. One of the best head units in the business. Coming to the instrument cluster here, we do have full instrumentation for the gauges, of course. And we have a big old TFT instrument cluster in the center. And then on the left, you will find your tachometer, and the right, you will find your speedometer. I kind of wish the whole thing was just a TFT instrument cluster. I mean, it really doesn't make sense to have a big old TFT instrument cluster and then regular old school analog gauges here. But coming in the center right there, you have all of your vehicle information. It shows you your trip information, your direction of travel. It also shows you your fuel range, remaining oil life percentage, tire pressure, and a timer. Then you have your digital speedometer right there too. Coming to your audio, shows you what audio source is playing. It shows you what song is playing, what radio station you're on. Over here on your phone, you can hook up your Bluetooth phone and make telephone calls from here. And your navigation system shows you a little mini map, which I love, and then it shows you your turn-by-turn direction, which is nice. And then right here you have your options, which it shows you things like you could change your units from US to metric. You also do have the display theme that you could change. You could change it from technology to the standard. Personally, I like the technology. And then you have the media display theme too. And then your info pages and your speed warning, which you could set for the vehicle. Overall, I really do like the TFT instrument cluster. I love the graphics and the rendering behind it. However, I really think that they should make the analog gauges part of the TFT instrument cluster, and they should just make one big old TFT instrument cluster and just get rid of these. Now, coming over here, we do have your 4-wheel drive select, as well as your trailer brake controller, and then your parking sensors button, lane departure warning, and your power adjustable pedals. And there's a pretty good range of adjustment for the pedals here. Now, coming to your buttons over here, this is for your heads-up display, and you could change the brightness level and display what information is on there. And you can show the direction of travel, your digital speedometer, as well as your RPM too, and then what gear you're in. And overall, I do love the heads-up display. It's very bright and vibrant. All right, and let's go ahead and shut down the Yukon. Let's go ahead and check out the rear seat space as well as the cargo space. Materials and build quality do follow through in the rear, which is good. The second row seats, they do recline, and you have second row captain's chairs, but you can go for full bench seating back here, of course. Now back here in the Yukon, there's plenty of rear seat legroom for the second row occupants, as well as headroom too. You also do have your rear seat DVD entertainment system, and it's been updated for 2017. You can now do a wireless display, or you can do HDMI, things like that. It's been updated for the inputs here. And you also do have your rear climate controls back here, 2 USB charging ports and a auxiliary input. And then you also do have heated rear seats and a house outlet, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. So plenty of charging ports, and you also do have a little cubby right there for storing things. And you have dual map pockets too. Rear air vents are also located up here, and I love these armrests. Very comfortable. It's a very comfortable experience back here in the Yukon. Certainly would take a long road trip in this vehicle here. One of the best vehicles for a long road trip. Let's get into the third row here. Now the third row is a little bit of a different story. I really don't like how my knees come all the way up like this. This is a little bit of a problem. And as you could see, the floor raises up. And that's due to the suspension setup for the Yukon. It doesn't have an independent rear suspension like the Ford Expedition. But you do have rear adjustable headrests back here and cup holders. If you're looking for more space for the third row occupants, up for the Yukon XL, or just get a slightly cheaper Chevrolet Suburban. But you do have your map lights back here, and they are LEDs, which is nice. All right. You have a power tailgate. Now you do have power folding third row seats back here. And these second row seats also do power fold too. And when you fold all the seats down, makes for an okay amount of cargo space. But when you compare it to some other crossovers, it's either the same amount of space as some other crossovers, and some other crossovers do offer a little bit more cargo space than the Yukon here. But if you're looking for the most cargo space, just get the Yukon XL. Now, one problem with General Motors full-size SUVs is that the load floor height is really high, which can make it a little bit of a problem getting items inside of here. So the 2017 GMC Yukon is an excellent choice for a full-size SUV with its excellent V8 power, its good towing capabilities, and its plenty of interior space. If you're looking for a full-size SUV, you should certainly put this on your list. So remember that this is Cameron Birch from Cameron's Car Reviews.